Ted, don't forget while I'm reading the story to sit there and be quiet, okay? All right, boys and girls, I had to speak to Ted about being quiet while I'm reading. Well, I have a new book for you this week, so welcome to another episode of Reading with Pak Steven. And this is a very special book, and it's by Katerina Germain. She's the author, and the illustrator is Tom Gillette. And the story is called My Dad Thinks He's Funny. Is your dad funny, or your brother funny, or your uncle funny? My dad thinks he's funny. Whenever I say I'm hungry, Dad replies, "Hello, hungry, pleased to meet you." Whenever I put lots of sauce on my plate, Dad said, "Would you like some dinner with that sauce?" And whenever we're about to cut up a cake for dessert, Dad said, "Well, there's my piece. What's everyone else having?" Oh. You think he's funny? I don't know. My dad thinks he's funny. When I say, "Dad, do you know what?" He says, "I don't know what, but I know his brother." When I say, "Dad, I don't know how," he says, "I don't know how. He's what's brother." And when I say, "Dad, I don't want to," he says, "Okay then, do you want 3? He's trying to be funny. I don't know how funny he is. My dad thinks he's funny. When I tell Dad my finger hurts, he says, "Let's chop it off." When I tell my Dad my foot hurts, he says, "No problem, you've got another." And when I tell Dad I think there's something in my eye, he says, "Yeah, an eyeball." Not very helpful, that Dad, is he? My dad thinks he's funny. If anyone asks, "How are you going?" Dad says, "By bus." If I fall over, Dad says, "Welcome home. How was your trip?" And if anyone asks, "What's up?" Dad says, "Just the sky." My dad thinks he's funny. When people say, "How are you feeling?" Dad says, "With my hands." When people say, "Would you like sugar?" Dad says, "I'm sweet enough." And when Dad says, "Time for a special announcement," we leave the room fast before it really starts to smell. Uh-oh, I know what that special announcement is. It's not a good one. My dad thinks he's funny. Sometimes Dad stands in front of the television. "Dad," I say, "I can't see." "Well, open your eyes," says Dad. My dad thinks he's funny. Whenever I go swimming, Dad says, "Try not to get wet." Whenever I go shopping, Dad says, "Buy me some money." And whenever I go to the toilet, Dad says, "Don't get lost." My dad thinks he's funny. When Mum says, "I'm not sure when I'll be home, I'll give you a ring," Dad says, "Make sure it has diamonds." When Mum says, "I'm just going to jump in the shower," Dad says, "That sounds dangerous." And when Mum says, "The neighbour's garden is looking pretty," Dad says, "Yeah, pretty strange." My dad thinks he's funny. My dad thinks he's funny. At bedtime, when I ask Dad if I can stay up late, he says, "Not now, but you can yesterday." At bedtime, when I ask Dad for a hand, he says, "Which one do you want, left or right?" And then at bedtime, when Mum says to me, "Come and give me a kiss, gorgeous," Dad says, "I'll be right there." My dad thinks he's funny. "Good night," I say when Dad tucks me in. "Good morning," Dad says. Then he pulls the covers over my head, kisses my feet, and turns out the light. My dad thinks he's funny. And that's the end of the story. Does your dad do that? Or your big brother or your uncle? Play jokes using words? Well, I don't think you really liked it, but that dad did think he was funny. Well, thank you for joining us today for another episode of Reading with Pak Steven.